Hi, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours, where we answer your questions 7 days a week. Let's go ahead and jump into those questions. Alex, what do we have?
First one this morning is coming from the QR code. Roger Martin in Tonto Basin, Arizona, looking for an inexpensive mini PC with 500 gigabytes that I could load VLC for scheduling 24/7, 1080p, 30 frames video stream to YouTube using AV1.
Good, Courtney.
Sorry, I was clicking like crazy to try and bring up the page, but as it's running. Here, the GMK Tech mini PC. These have two HDMI outputs. It can easily, this one comes with 256 gigs of internal storage, but it does have a micro SD card slot so that you can add up to half a terabyte of removable storage in it. It has two HDMI outputs, 4K up to 4K 60. It has gigabit Ethernet, 3 USB 3 ports, analog audio and digital audio out over all the HDMI ports. It comes with Windows 11 Pro, which will run VLC beautifully. And I've even run this one. It's $143. I don't know with the tariffs. I haven't looked at it today to see what the price is, but it was actually $137 with a discount that they were giving, 5% discount on Amazon. So buy it quick before the tariffs kick in. And I use them as glue and playback stuff, and it can play back easily 5 or 6 HDMI 1080p streams, 1080p videos at the same time. So that should work fine for you.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, AV1's a bit of a newer codec, so there's a couple ways you can encode. So there's software-based encoding, hardware-based encoding. I think in a mini PC form factor, I'm not aware, I haven't done a ton of research on this, I'm not aware of one that can do that as far as hardware encoding is concerned. You do need typically a discrete GPU. I know, for example, like Apple's M processors can decode it, but they won't encode in hardware. And on the PC side of things, typically a discrete GPU. So we're talking like full-length PCIe cards, so something like an RX 7000 series or one of the newer NVIDIA cards. Of course, you can do this much easier in software, but it is very CPU intensive. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a good multi-core, multi-threaded processor. Like one of those AMD Ryzen Threadripper processors. So maybe there's somebody that makes a mini PC with good specs that would work for that. I do know that a few years ago, OBS Studio added support for AV1, so you could probably use something like that on a mini PC, but make sure it's got lots of processor.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, I missed the part that we want to use AV1 to send to YouTube. You can use many other things. Those mini PCs, GMK Tech, have hardware encoders and decoders for HEVC and H.264, H.265, VP9, several other encode in hardware. It decodes AV1, as Jason was saying, but it doesn't encode. I mean, it decodes it, but doesn't encode it. To encode, you need something a little beefier. The newer Intel chips, the 14th gen chips, I think support the Intel do support encoding of AV1, but only the very high end ones. I would suggest using something other than AV1 to stream to YouTube, because they're probably going to re-encode it later. But to live stream, yeah, maybe HLS.
Yeah, I don't know why you would do that. Like, I just, like to be honest, I just don't know why you would need to stream AV1 24/7. I mean, there are reasons to do it, but it's still pretty new format, and I don't know what the efficiency. It's a little bit more efficient than RTMP with an H.264, but not so much better. It depends on what you're streaming, I guess. But as someone who does a lot of streaming, has done all these different pieces here, I wouldn't make something that ran 24/7 on a mini PC the place that I would experiment with AV1. You're kind of a Mac Mini is going to have the AV1, support much more effectively, ready to go. That you could probably find a way to stream this from a Raspberry Pi. I mean, it's not very much to just, if you're not doing AV1, you take AV1 out of the thing and you just go, I'm going to do an RTMP. of something. You could probably find a way to do this with a Raspberry Pi. You could definitely do it on almost any mini PC, as Courtney outlined. So you make it would be very simple. As soon as you say I want to do AV1, I'd probably start looking at. There's a lot more hardware support for AV1 on the Mac than there is on the PC. So I would take a look at that. Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, I think the little Atom Man, which has the Intel Arc card inside of it, would be a good choice on these. I have two of them, and they're pretty nice. They're about $750, and I believe that will do the AV1.
You said 650?
I think it's about 700.
Yeah, because once you're at 650, though, you're at $599 for a Mac Mini. That will definitely do it. like it will once you go over the $600 Rubicon, there's no reason for an encoder to be. I mean, I have an M4, like the $600 M4 Mac Mini, and it's just a computational beast. Like it's just so and anything that. To me, any PC over $500, you gotta have something that's very specific to PC that you need, or it doesn't make any sense anymore. Like it's so that'd be the only thing I would say is that I don't know what is competitive with that. I've never seen a box that cost have that much power. Like I'm running 120 frames per second out of that box, 120 frames per second at 1080p out of the box, and it's at 6%. And it's that's the $600 one. Next question.
This one is from Roscoe Jones in Madison, Indiana. FireWire amazingly had audio, video, timecode, and VTR ballistics plus commands. What metadata are you using over NDI, and are there any more data or protocols you want to see added to NDI streams?
Good Guy.
So a lot of this came about from a gentleman by the name of Mark Gilbert. He's the guy who wrote Sienna, and he had a bunch of papers that he wrote to try and standardize. So a lot of the things that he wrote, and this is years ago that he wrote this stuff. So 608, 708, closed captioning, subtitles, P2P, V2 genlock over NDI, MIDI over NDI. And then one of the ones that is most important to what we're going to see at NAB is DMX over NDI, Visca over NDI, and then let me show you his little app. So this has been out. I don't know how many of you will recognize this, but this has been out for a while where he put in these test functions to send metadata. So we could do this for years, but the 6.2 version that's coming out at NAB will have additional guidance as to did they implement his protocols the way that he wrote up these papers. But you could see in here like time signal break start and 708 line and ID3 basic. But then there's also these GPI commands that you could send, and then DMX faders here, and you could pick what universe, and then there's also MIDI notes. So all these are, as I'm pushing these are actually sending right now, these commands over NDI. So it's interesting that he came up with this concept years ago, and who knows how much, since they've spun off NDI into a separate entity from NewTek, who knows how much they listen to him. It's all a separate company that has a different P&L and all of that. So they're trying to make NDI more of a standard into the industry. Who knows what will come out with SMPTE 2110 and some of the other protocols that are out there. But I don't know enough about REST API and some of these other things that might be important to some people. Like as I look at this camera here that I have, these are some of the controls that I have over a web browser. I've got audio controls, I've got time code, I've got white balance, I've got exposure. So the ability to go back and check some of this stuff, to be able to ask, and this is where I don't know for sure this is even possible, but be able to ask what state is this VTR in, what state is this exposure at, and then get that information back and then send a payload back that says, okay, change it to this, and from that. So because a lot of us have these types of little DMX controllers that are Ethernet to DMX, and that's all this box does. So that's what I want to be able to do is send commands, or have somebody remotely send commands and change the color of a light, change the brightness of a light. And in a perfect world, I'd even be able to move the lights, but that's robotics, and that's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, we're working on a project right now where we're sending video to screens, and then we have to run the lights at the same time. And part of the challenge that we have is timing all of that, because the the DMX controls will get there before the video. So we have to pick, and what the distance from where we are changes that math. And so we have to calculate it for every location around the country that we're doing it in. Go ahead, Alex.
I just thought of a random protocol that might be useful, which would be your keyboard, PC keyboard. So whatever you type on a keyboard could be sent to anything else on the network, or might be useful. I mean, obviously, I saw it from the point of view of a presentation, a USB clicker, when you're doing presentations and queuing and stuff like that. It's just a random thought. So I don't know if there's any use.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, there's some web pages that do that right now that deliver that data. And then we've done it with USB IP extenders, so that you plug we literally, I used to have a whole lot of perfect queues because the speakers, when we were working, didn't want to do anything that didn't include a perfect queue. Like they just know how to use the pickle, and they just wanted to have that there. So we would put that on one side. We put it into a USB to IP converter, send it over the internet, have it turn back into a USB connection, and it would allow them to control their presentations locally, so that they could do it. And it's a crazy thing to do, but it worked really well, and they were super happy. Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, so the big deal about this is that NDI Bridge is a way of taking a host and a joiner and very low latency punching a hole through the encrypted traffic. So when you join, you have an IP address, you have the username, and then you have a password that's ideally pretty thick, so somebody can't just crack that. But that's the important thing that we're talking about here is how do we get from location to location easily? Because if I say, hey, go download NDI tools, launch that little Bridge app, and right now it's just PC only, so we're hoping to see a Mac version really soon. But what will happen is I'm in your network now, with not a whole bunch of strange, weird stuff. It's just a login and a password. I have opened up my ports on my host side, and you're just joining. So once you've joined, if I can then take control over your PTZ cameras, your exposure, it just opens up a world of possibilities instead of having to send a PC, send all this specialized equipment. It's just, hey, launch this app, enter in these 3 things, and we're on our way.
Next question.
This one's from Alex 40 Golner in London. Does anyone have any idea of the scale of the Office Hours Discord? How many people are members? What proportion of those members regularly read posts? How many take part by posting?
I don't have all that data, and usually we would do this on Sunday, but I can give you some basic data. Is about 2,200 people in our Discord. About 300 to 500 of them interact on a weekly basis. So it just depends on the week, up and down. So, but somewhere in that ballpark, and that's a pretty good number. Like as far as like Discord numbers, it's not outstanding. It's not small. It's just kind of like a good average one. I will say that Discord has become very key to everything we do to manage things. I mean, it's not just the what we do, it's all the different conversations that need to be managed. I don't know where else we spent a lot of time at the very beginning trying to figure out where we're going to do this. And I think the consensus was Discord, and it's been a great, very successful in my opinion. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
I mean, actually, I was asking to follow on from a place to talk about Apple Motion and Final Cut Pro. So the Discord may be at some point as just a separate destination as part of the membership club that is Office Hours. So there's that too. But obviously, Discord has been amazing for organizing all this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we can build sections for anything that are there. I mean, the way to do this, in my opinion, would be, I would build a whole section for Motion. And Final Cut, I think, is also something where we have a fair number of people that use it. And so we'd love to, we can talk about more of this on, maybe not this Sunday because I'll be out, but I'll be at NAB. But we can talk about, where that looks like it. But I think that it is a, I think that if there's people talking about something specifically, like if someone like you and me and a couple other people that know Motion are responding within a couple hours at a time, like if anyone asks a question, it starts to build, and so usually what I found with online forums is that, and we've, had them for, I've managed an online forums now for 25 years, and I've been on them for 30 years. It's just a handful of people that are willing to keep on answering questions all the time, so that someone knows that if they go up and ask a question, it's not a dead end. And if that happens within 24 hours, the online forum tends to that tends to be the fertilizer that's required to keep things moving.
One aspect of it is, what is the policy on stuff that's very basic questions in which people are kind of asking the most basic things, and just having a policy on it, whatever that is, in terms of just linking to the right support document or saying, here are the training resources. But sometimes people don't want to do a Google search and they just come and expect the people.
I find that generally the best, I mean, my opinion about that is that generally the best thing to do is just answer it as if it was just a regular question. The thing is that when something's persistent and something that's in here, you can see what else has been talked about. The hard part really is that that this doesn't have, the way that Discord builds that is not as, we would have to build a section. And again, if there were 5 people that really wanted to talk about motion, I would build a section, just as a test. Like, hey, because motion, I still think that it's the best bang for your buck in the industry. $50 for that app is kind of an amazing opportunity, and I think that there's a lot of people that'd be interested in that. So I would build a section and you could have it be basic questions is one of the sections, but the advanced folks giving answers to basic questions is really valuable. A good example is Little League. My kids were in Little League for a while. Obviously, they've grown out of it. But Little League baseball, the most important time to teach a child how to throw a baseball is when they're 5, 8 at the latest, to teach them the mechanics of how to hold the ball, how to use their elbow, how to move their shoulder, how to swing their hips. There's a bunch of mechanics there that are required to do that. And nobody does that because it's basic questions. These are kids. They're 5 years old. So we'll have parents who probably never played much baseball try to have them throw the ball like a claw, and try to have them practice. If you took professional baseball, and there are some people who will send, there was right next to right next to where we had our old office, there was a former San Francisco Giant who did summer camps for kids, and so he played for 10 years, professional baseball. And the winnowing built from baseball, from Little League to pro baseballs like soccer in the UK is incredible. I mean, people who are at the top are, forces of nature when it comes to this stuff. If they ever played a year, the difference that it makes is that every person, every kid that goes there is the best in their league, like by a long shot, not by a little. And it's just little things about how to do. There's just little tweaks that he makes to their mechanics, and suddenly they're way better than everybody else because no one else is getting that. The reason I say that is because it's important for those of us who have done this for a long time to answer basic questions and guide people towards those. Most manuals are written very badly. There's almost no manuals that are written well. The videos on YouTube are, most of them, not all of them, but the vast majority of videos on YouTube are taking people down a path that they should not go. They're written by people who, I don't know when they actually did this, but they're not, or they're too boring to watch. So it is our job to, constantly provide some, I think that having advanced people answer your questions patiently, I've been doing that for 35 years, and I've, and when I started, I was answering people's questions. I didn't know what I was doing, but I would spend 8 hours on a simple question and figure it out. And that's how I ended up working at Star Wars, was specifically answering questions on forums. So I find that forums are very powerful. Obviously we have a whole show where we do that here too. And I would, if someone like you and a couple other people that want to do motion, I would build a whole show around it because, again, it's one of my favorite apps. It always has been. And I know that you're literally the best motion artist in the world, in my opinion. So if you wanted to do something with it, just let me know. But I think that, I think there's a lot of people that would get a lot of value out of that, and it would build up its own community. And we could build a separate Discord at some point, maybe, that just supports it if it grew to a point where it didn't make sense in ours. So anyways, those are things to think about. We'll talk more about this on a Sunday, but there's the bit of it that if you're wondering, if you're watching this show, this recording, you wonder what are Sundays like? It's like this for 2 hours. So anyway, we're going to jump to the next question.
Mark in Toronto, Canada is asking, this is from the QR code, want to piece together a portable streaming setup for small group /dinner. meetings, thinking about 2 Rode Go mics and a PTZ all USB'd into my MacBook Pro to Zoom. Super simple, but also no fallback if something fails. Suggestions for a sub $1,000 kit.
Good guy.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, because it's image quality versus reach and things like that. Because you could get away with just a simple Insta360, but you only got a 3x zoom. So depending on if somebody's speaking and you want to be able to punch in and zoom in on them, you're going to want like a 12x. So that new Ozbot would be something decent for under $1,000. I'm using these PTZ Optics Move SEs, and they do have USB as well as SDI, HDMI, and NDI. So this gives you the ability to have grow into the future. So if you do want to switch over to something like Mimo Live or something like that, because it's really tough during a dinner type meeting. If you go from somebody that's a close up, one shot to you want the group, you really want 2 cameras. And then the other big thing is audio. If you're just going to use Rode Go's, you're backed into a corner. Hopefully there's some house sound with some mics that you might be able to just tap into. So something like the Flow 8 for $199 would give you at least that ability to have a room mic. So in case somebody does start talking that isn't mic'd up, you could at least Hail Mary and pick up some of what they're saying. I was just at an event last night like this where I was sitting there thinking the same thing. Like, it would be nice for the people that couldn't attend because it was at 6 o'clock, and it was one of those things where it was just like a couple of people couldn't make it. They're stuck in traffic. I wish I could just plot this on Zoom. I don't want to make it super complicated. And something like a little Insta360 with a couple of Rode Go's probably would have worked fine. So it's something to think about. I mean, I myself would rather have a Zoom room, and then a Zoom room could do multiple cameras and push it in at once, and then you could give somebody else far end control. So if you get wrapped up in part of the production or have to run off and do something, somebody else can take control of that camera. And that's the nice thing. If you're doing this event solo on site and using Zoom, you can, with a Zoom room, allow other people to move those cameras around if you have a Zoom room with far end control. You could do it by yourself with a regular Zoom client. You just have to be there when they request camera control. And it's something that you set up in the back end, but hopefully that'll help you out.
One question is are you constantly moving, or is this a location? Always remember that the location makes a big difference on what's going to work and what's not going to work. How much room are you going to have? Where can you put the cameras? How that's going to look? What the sound is like. I mean, the number one thing that affects your sound is your room, not your mics. So you got to figure out if this is going to be something you're going to do in a regular place. Either find a place that looks good or build one, but it's got to look and sound. I mean, not look good, but sounds good. So think about that. You may also want to think about if it's a place that you're doing it all the time. Again, if you're trying to build something that's a great stream that feels like a dinner, or a small meeting or a dinner meeting, that's a different thing. I think that this may be one of those places where the owl makes sense. I just want something that I'm going to set in the middle of the table. It's a 360-degree camera with, beamforming mics. And it may be very din-like. I don't know if it would be much worse. The key is you'll be able to set it up quickly, because it sounds like what you're looking for is quick and easy. I will always say that making content, you can make content easy to make or easy to watch. It's very hard to do both. So when you say, I don't want to spend very much money and I want this to be simple and easy, you're pushing the work onto the viewer. And how that will show up is typically, unless you're talking about something that is really important to them, your average view time will be very low, probably less than 2 minutes. People will watch it for a little while and then they'll find it uncomfortable and then they'll leave. And so that's and now there are definitely people, and there's subject matters and everything else that you can get people to stay for a long time. And if you're just making it a service, like, hey, you can't make it as Guy was talking about, and we're going to do something. That's something. But I would probably keep it. If I was going, once I get to a certain threshold, I would just go to make it as easy as possible. And again, the easiest as possible, put it on one end of the table and just have a wide angle camera, or do an owl where you can see, kind of goes around and you can look around. But, we've done a lot of these meetings with one end of the table, just a wide angle camera, one end of the table. We all kind of look down and say hi. We have some area mics, and we don't mic anybody up specifically. So it just depends on how far you want to go. Next question.
This one's for me. Are there any hacks to attaching honeycomb grids to thin LED panels to control spill?
Go ahead, Courtney.
Why, yes, there are. you can get these rollable grid panels that he's talking about for anywhere from $12 to $16. They're usually rectangular. You can get the round ones for the Godox lights too. But for attaching them, they have the Velcro strips on the corner, so you can add Velcro. But here's the C47 way. Of course, there's these new needle nose C47s made by this company called C47. Clothespins is what we're talking about here, that can grip onto and then can hold these onto the edges of any of those thin light panels. If you get the thick aperture panels, probably can't use a C47, but you carry some of those C47s with you. Always good in lighting to be able to clip those lightweight grids onto the corners, four corners, or in the middle, wherever. And then you can roll up any of the excess panel that doesn't fit that particular panel, roll it up and stick a C47 on it to hold it rolled.
Next question.
Tony Mobley in Noonan, Georgia. What is the panel's view on the yolobox Extreme?
Go ahead, Jesse.
Let's take a look at what we're talking about, and then we'll YOLO Live Extreme all-in-one multicam, blah, 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 blah. And what it boils down to is 8 HDMI in, 2 HDMI out with some other bits and bobs around the thing, and touch screen so that you can edit the feeds as they come in. And the first thing you'll learn when you're working with gear with this much stuff in it at this kind of price point is that there are weird ceilings that you won't be expecting. And they don't really get too into it in the specs or the overview, but you can find it in one of the reviews. 8 HDMI ports, it has 8 ports. Ports 1 through 3 only support 1080p at 60 or less, and there are color differences between ports 1 through 3 and 4 through 8. So that's a good example of the kind of weird stuff you get into. And there's also the fact that it's just so much tech smashed into something that's roughly the size of 2 ATEMs that I'd be really worried about overly small components that can glitch out and break very easily. This is a handle your kids' gloves with kids' gloves type device.
Go, Courtney.
Yeah, I was worried about all those HDMI connectors, because HDMI connectors can break loose pretty easily, and put all of those in. I don't know how well attached they are to their motherboard there, and all of them are vertical. They're all jammed in there next to each other, and adding something in the middle and taking something in the middle out at one point might be tricky. It's fairly capable. It's $2,000 is the price on it, $1999.99. So I think we'll have to wait till they come out to see what the reviews are like. But 8 HDMIs is pretty tight. We know that's on the ATEM Extreme, but the way they're stacked in there like cordwood, I'd be worried.
Yeah, the what I will say is that YOLO Live has a history of building things that are feature rich but stability thin. And I think that the issue that they have is that this is exactly what Jesse was talking about, is multiple color spaces, things that are different. Those are all things like, hey, we have to have 8 inputs, so we're going to do whatever we have to do to get there, and then not really thinking about it. It'd be really good if everything just worked the way it should, and I think that most of our histories with YOLO has not been like it worked all the time. And in live, it kind of, for what I do at least, it really does need to work all the time. So I think that's been the challenge. So I probably would not be that excited about it unless I saw a lot of incredible reviews and then I got to test it myself. Next question.
From the QR code, Mike Sorrentino in New York City, New York. What do you all like for cloud switching? We use vmix over splashtop or Streamyard. They are okay. What do you like?
Good guy.
Yeah, I'm a vmix over splashtop guy. It's so inexpensive. It's $60 a month, and you get the $1,200 version of the software. I've also gotten demos by Tucker showing me why he wants to go. Well, he has gone over to Carbonite Code, and what he did was he bought one of these. And this is the one that I'm on the fence. Don't buy this one if anybody's looking at this. So this is the tool that makes it work really well when you start to develop macros and things that make life easier to be able to get these MEs and boxes to where you're super fast and you've got this positioner. So $5,000 to get the hardware. So when we start talking about things like this Vector, which is $1,200 a month, so Carbonite code's $14,000. So if you have this kind of budget, you have these kind of productions where you're moving fast, you need to move something around the screen. You have some downstream keys, upstream keys. You have just a variety of things going on, and you need to develop macros to punch things in and out. You got replay. This is where Viz and the TriCaster with like playback functionality, the DDRs and things like that really come into play. So $60 a month, we've got playback, we've got replay with vmix. So it all comes down to how much money and how disparate are your operators? Is it a single man show, or do you need people that you could talk to over comms to bring in a play out, or are you doing it all yourself? Because that also starts to matter as to what choice you're going to pick for a cloud operation. So this is a benefit of going to NAB and talking. Ross will be there, the guys from Viz will be there. And the other thing that's come out recently is the TriCaster Mini S, which is about $120 a month when you do the math. It's about $1,200 or $1,500 a year. So that's another option now, but it's only 8 inputs. So as you start to get into how much pressure are you putting on a system, that's when some of these other options start to make a difference, because Viz bought NewTek, who created the NDI software. So when we were doing the show last Tuesday, and I started asking Taylor, we're doing all this on G4 DN 4X, and he's like, yeah, this is all these inputs from Zoom. Direct contributors were coming in via Zoom. We're building the boxes. I think we had four of the MEs going, plus we were sending it out to YouTube. So we're encoding as well on one machine, whereas before in our vmix setup, that was a three machine setup. So how long are you doing this every day? Are you doing this just every once in a while? And this is sometimes where it just pays to just hire somebody to do all this stuff in the cloud. The benefit of the cloud, of course, is resiliency, big data. You can bring stuff up and down very quickly. So there's lots of benefits, but it sounds like vmix, you're using it. I say stick with it if you know it and like it.
Yeah, I will say that definitely supporting Zoom in the inside the app, which vmix does, as well as Viz, at this point is table stakes. Like, it has to have that. The amount of the ease of use that changed when we moved, we just moved over where we're taking Zoom directly into Viz for the extra hours was night and day. Like, from a stability perspective, audio management, sync, all kinds of, there's a whole bunch of things that got fixed to a point where I don't think I would consider I would not consider something that didn't let me do that. Like, so, and lots of things do it, Ecamm and Mimo and lots of things supported internally, but I wouldn't use anything that doesn't let me tie into the contributors directly at this point, based on that experience.
If you are using Zoom as your contribution, the one thing that we are lacking, and this might be something that gets updated at NAB, is that the screen share functionality isn't built into there right now. So this is where having the Zoom rooms and having that ability to still bring your Zoom room and your Zoom room NDI feed for screen share and gallery view over NDI and active speaker. So right now you could just grab participant, and you could allocate those to all your inputs. So with a Zoom room, you get all those available. And if you're on the Mac world, of course, you could use tiles and you could push that stuff in. Or you could use Zoom ISO if you're on a Mac. But in the cloud, that's not a thing. I think most of us are using AWS, and you can get Mac instances. They're just super expensive to spin up because you have to basically rent them for a day, 24 hours. You can't just spin them up for a minute and only get charged for a minute.
Or a month. Mac Stadium, we were looking at putting a Unity server in the cloud a while ago, and Mac Stadium, it's like $120 a month or something like that, and then you have the Mac that would be powerful enough to do that. But it's not $25. We saw the $25 a day, and then we were like, oh, what does Mac Stadium do? And it's a lot less expensive. But I think that I think for corporate, you need to find some way to be corporate and general meetings and everything else. You got to find some way to do screen sharing. As soon as we touch an event, the last thing we're going to let people do is screen share. Like, as soon as I'm working on it, we're going to give them a switcher. We're going to find a way to do it, because we don't want the screens to come in at different resolutions. We want to force them into the resolution that we're streaming in. And so we have to find a way to solve that on the far end. And so now when you're doing smaller corporate meetings, you don't have that flexibility. But as soon as someone pays us to do a real event, the first thing that's going to go is screen sharing. It's just like, oh yeah, we're not going to do that. Second thing is going to be, we're going to send everybody kits. And we're going to get rid of their virtual backgrounds and all that other stuff. So I think that so it just depends on the level of production that you're doing. But I do think that it's going to be really interesting to see where this all goes. But I think we always knew that the integration that Zoom was doing with no one else is doing this, where they're just tying their software directly into contribution and at this level. And I knew it was going to be big. I didn't realize until we really started digging into it, whether it was me using Mimo, those shows using Viz, and how important that was going to be. And I just wouldn't consider doing a virtual event without that ability to have the switcher just tie in directly and have all that stuff we grew up with during COVID, with all this, like, I got to build a Zoom room in the cloud and pass it all over and everything else. All that's, just so you know that, like, that's not, like, just like screen scraping is not a modern solution. Like, it's not a modern, like, you need to, if you're doing screen scraping of any kind, like if you have to use Teams or you have to use something else, I guess you're stuck with that. But I think Teams does NDI out though. So you should be able to do other ways to do it. So Teams will give you NDI out at 720p. So there's other ways to do it. But if you're doing screen scraping at this point, something's wrong. And
one more thing, just what is your ground to cloud strategy? So when we first started doing the extra hour show in the cloud, I was like, let's go 4K. And so Grant and I came in one day via NDI Bridge, and my camera feed, I mean, if you watch that session down on my TV downstairs with my Apple TV with 4K, it's color rich, it's super crisp, because there's so much more. We had there's a slider that you could do on your NDI Bridge, and I put it on ultra. So that's like, I think it was like 40 megabit or something like that. So 40 megabit versus Zoom's, 6. So it depends on your strategy there. If you only have one or two panelists and they don't have to deal with the tech, it's just a tech sets it up and they just walk into a room and sit down. And then, there's different strategies that you could use for different kind of operations with different feeds. What is that? Yeah.
Well, and a lot of times we end up mixing and matching, like the hub that we had in DC for a long time, we could take anything and feed it to anything. So we would take satellite, the switch, Cisco, LTN, AVOC, along with Zoom, Hangouts, Teams, and we could build a show that used any of them. You could use 3 people over here and 4 people over there and just mix and match all of that with hardware to make that actually happen. So there's a lot of different ways you can manage it. I will say that what I'm hoping to see is somewhere where we can have very, very low latency interaction with very, very high quality contribution. And a lot of us are talking about this of, like, the switch is 5 seconds behind, and it's SRT feeds or something else that are really high quality, 4K, 60, whatever, and we're talking at the lowest latency we could possibly have, and I think you mix those two together, and it's something that gets pretty exciting. So we'll see how it goes. Next question.
Jeff Vealey in Henderson, Texas. Acoustic panels, is it better to make or buy these, considering durability and budget?
Go ahead, Alex.
So yes, you can save a lot of money by building them yourself. Personally, I don't have the time or patience to be doing that. But if you're going to do it, you can get this type of stuff at your local Home Depot. It's called Rockwool, and this particular one, they make a lot of different types of products. This one is called Safe and Sound, and this is designed specifically for managing acoustics in a room. And of course, you can build, get yourself some 2x4s and build a wood frame around it and then cover it with fabric to make it look pretty. I'm not a huge fan of doing that, again, but just because I don't have the time, I don't have the tools to do it. If you want to buy something pre-made, there's lots of reputable companies out there that'll make stuff like this. I settled on this product from Prime Acoustic. They actually make a lot of different products, but they have this series, these room kits called the London series. And they're rated by square footage, and they come in different colors. There's 3 colors, black, light gray, and beige. There's also a paintable version, and they have nice beveled edges, so they're very attractive to look at, and they do an incredible job. They are definitely going to be more money, but for me, it was worth it. I bought them and then put them up on the walls, and that was it. Called it a day.
Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, as Alexander said, Prime Acoustics is second to none. I've done a couple of these installations. Hanging them from the ceiling is my favorite trick because you actually get insulation or isolation both from the front and the side. It's reflected and primary sound. They are not cheap, but oh boy, are they incredible if you can afford them.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, it depends on your budget. Prime Acoustics is a good one. Another one is Sonics. They makes this architectural type sound absorbing foam panels but look at the prices. This is $500 to $800 a box. They do come in different colors. It's shown here in white. Now, if you're really on a budget and you want to put something up that you can put up and take down, so if let's say you have a multi-use room that you're going to use it like your living room or your dining room or something, then you're going to do a podcast in it. Here's something I discovered that, these mattress toppers that are made out of this memory foam, it's a very dense urethane foam. You can get them in white. A lot of them are blue. But, look at the price of this versus the $500 for just a few panels. You can get a king-size bed for $66. You just put a couple of wood planks, sandwich the edge on a couple of wood planks that are screwed together with drywall screws. And then you can just roll it up when you're done, and you put eye hooks on either end of those wood panels that you put in, hang it on the wall with a couple of screws or other cup hooks, put it into the wall. And when you're done, you roll it up into a roll and put it in the closet, put it away. And that memory foam is really good acoustical dampening. It dampens sound from the outside, and because of the sculpted egg crate type finish on one side of it, it absorbs sound, absorbs reflections very well.
Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, we did a lot of research on this and made stuff, bought stuff. You could see some of the stuff behind me with the diffusion materials. What I found that I like that's a local company here, and it's some of this stuff right here. It's called F-Zorb, and this is a sheet of it. And you could put this on your wall or hang it from your ceiling. And if we look at their website, you can see that they can cut these to different shapes. So depending on if you want to do absorption or if you're trying to just break up sound waves, they have different types of units. You could see the different screens. Worth looking into. I mean, there's again, it's called F-Zorb, F-S-O-R-B, and it's made from recycled plastic. So it's renewable, and it works very, very well.
Next question.
From the QR code, Angelo. Jack in Brooklyn, New York. In the context of production, does the panel have any experience with complex KVMs such as this? And how useful is it for multi-site events?
This is from Belkin. This is brand new, I think, and this is the little controller that you can see here. I haven't had a chance to, it's a video, so I wasn't able to scan it very well. But here you can see these KVM controls here. I have to say, as someone who uses a KVM constantly for what I'm doing, take my money. so I'm very would I use this in a production? Probably. I don't know whether I would or not. As something I want to put on my desk to control the, I have 6 computers on my desk that are all tied in, and I'm constantly changing the monitor configurations and constantly changing I have one keyboard that goes into a very cheap KVM that fulfilled the rules of engagement, which is that it was remote controllable via RS-232, which was not the way I'd like to do it, which I think this Belkin improves on, but it's what it was a basic way to do it. It had buttons on the front and nothing on the top, which this has as well, so I could stack things on top of it or slide it into something and not have to have it managed there. And it handles up to 4K. So it was the thing that I needed to use for it, but this looks amazing if it works. And Belkin's a good brand, so I'll probably end up getting one. I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks for the suggestion, though. I hadn't seen it go by, so you just cost me a lot of money. I don't even know how much it is yet. If it's like $2,000, then maybe not. But if it's like less than $500, I'm probably going to add it to my system. If you have questions, by the way, you can ask them any time of the day. So you don't have to wait for the show to start. You don't have to log into anything. You can just go to askofficehours.global. That's askofficehours.global. And you can just simply, it's simple. We're not going to ask you for a bunch of stuff. We're not going to, there's nothing to jump through. There's no hoops. You just put your name, your location, and your question. So if you're looking for something easy, an easy way, it is the easiest way to ask questions in office hours. It's askofficehours.global. Let's go to the next question.
This one's from Harshi Trivedi in Daytona Beach, Florida, USA. My trusty little machine that brings me on the show is suffering from low disk space. What would you do? Buy an external 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte, or buy a 1 terabyte, maybe 2 terabytes if my old system allows it with BIOS and all, and get an external enclosure for the current 512 gig?
Go, Jesse.
What I would do is I would get that 1 terabyte for the internal, do a clean install of the OS and start from scratch, and also get that 4 terabyte external and keep pretty much all your files except for the operating system and your applications. Keep all the stuff you work on off of the main drive. This is how we run everything, whether it's on an external drive or on the cloud. We don't have any files on any single computer in our office or work environment. And that way you kind of get the best of both worlds, but you have to pay for both worlds.
Go ahead, Courtney.
You know, what I've been doing is buying these external enclosures that are USB 3 you can get them online at Amazon for about $24 that hold an NVMe, 2 NVMe drive. And these, you can get the SSDs, the NVMe SSDs in 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte for $100 or so, 100 to 150 or so for between the 1 and the 2. Stick them in there, very easy to install, and then hang them off a USB-C port or a USB-A port, and get 5 to 10 gigabit storage, easy to attach for extra storage. Keep your operating system on the internal 512, I guess, unless you want to replace that internal with a SSD. If it's a spinning drive, you might want to replace it with an SSD. Maybe another 512 for a fairly cheap price. That'll speed up your booting and loading of applications, but then just keep all your media and stuff on the external.
I'd probably do a little bit of both. I'd probably go to 1 or 2 terabytes. I don't know what you have, what the internal, but the memory now has gotten so inexpensive that I would probably just go ahead and solve that with make sure that your internal is at least 1 terabyte, maybe 2 terabytes, and then have an external drive where I put media. And then that'll solve it for a long time. Next question.
From the QR code, Jimmy Nelson, the third in Locust, North Carolina. Has anyone ever tried this mic from ONN? I know it's a cheapo, but wanted to know in real-world scenario, had good or bad, or how good or bad it actually is.
Go ahead, Alex.
I haven't actually tried this one. I have come across this particular brand. It seems to be picking up some steam here because I keep seeing it online. So I'd have to really test it. But all I will say is this is usually my go-to suggestion is stick with brands of name, well-known, reputable manufacturers that have been in the audio business making microphones for decades. So depending on what your budget is, if you are looking for inexpensive, it's really hard to beat the Shure MV6 right now. Since you're in the US, you can get that for $150 US, and that comes bundled with a little tabletop mic stand. That's a great little dynamic microphone. The problem with I have a lot of these cheap mics is they tend to be condensers. They have smaller than 1-inch capsules, and they tend to overmodulate really easily. They have cheap analog to digital converters inside. They clip really easily, and they generally don't sound very good. There's some exceptions to the rule, but that's my experience.
Good, Courtney.
I was looking at this. ONN is the Walmart house brand. They take Chinese manufactured stuff and relabel it. But I have not tried this microphone, but one thing I've been trying lately is the ONN streaming boxes, the 4K streaming boxes. They're like $20. They're dirt cheap from Walmart, and I've been really happy with it. It works really well. Runs Google streaming. So I haven't tried this mic, but I've had good luck with the ONN products, at least the couple that I've tried. Looks interesting and definitely is going to be cheap until next week.
Yeah, if you're going to buy something, you may want to buy it soon. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, they could all be gone tomorrow, so we don't know. At this point in the United States, we just have no idea what's happening. So but if you're planning to do any big purchases, you might want to do them sooner than later because everything might adjust at some point for the new realities. Next, but by the way, if what we do here is valuable to you, you can help us in a couple different ways. Like and subscribe, of course. That helps us get people to be involved. So if people come on the show and so on and so forth. You can also volunteer. You go to officehours.global/volunteer, and that's a great way. There's a huge village that makes all of this possible every single day, and you can be part of that if you'd like to. And then finally, you can donate, officehours.global/donate. Let's go to the next question.
Andre Dole in Berlin. Are we really clear about AVC1 and VP9 to YouTube? I found that I consistently get the better VP9 pipeline when doing RTMP test streams in H.264 with higher than recommended bit rates. Even a 720p stream sent at 12 megabits per second got VP9. Thoughts?
Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, so officially what we've heard from a couple engineers that work for YouTube is that if you send 1440p or higher, you will get the VP9 codec. And if you want to send 1080 and get VP9, that you would send either HEVC, AV1, or HLS. And those are the indicators that tell YouTube to switch over to their higher quality pipeline. And you could see the color richness. You could see that there's a higher data rate as you do get VP9. So Andre and I behind the scenes have been doing some tests with different accounts and different, I'm using vmix. I've also did a bunch of tests yesterday that confirmed what I initially found, which is if you send H.264, so on this box, you could send H.264 or HEVC, and it's exactly what I just said. It'll do AVC1, which is the lower pipeline. And to check this, you could just right-click on your YouTube video as it's streaming and go to Stats for Nerds, and you'll see under codecs if it's AVC1 or if it's VP9. VP9 is what you want. It just looks so much better, especially for the archives later on. So I'm not sure why his account is getting on a 720p at 12 megabits, why it's getting VP9. There's no rhyme or reason unless there's some metadata flag that says, hey, when you're using vmix or these certain softwares, go ahead and switch over to that pipeline. But from what I've seen, they basically don't want to waste their time and their energies and their resources on people that just stream junk 24/7. There's all kinds of people that play out just stuff 24/7 and it's costing YouTube a bunch of money, so that they'll just leave them in that AVC1 pipeline. But if you're streaming like something that matters, like I know Andre was streaming this corporate event, very high number of viewers, political event, and when I looked at his LED wall behind him, it was falling apart, and we're like, oh man, you're on AVC1. If you do VP9, you're going to get a better quality encode, and that'll start to, that mush that you're seeing with the moire behind will come back together. And so hopefully he's able to get solid VP9 from now on and make sure it looks good every time.
And the mush may go away. I mean, I will say that the LED walls are, if you're not super careful about LED walls on a stage, you're in trouble. Like it is. It doesn't matter what kind of compression you go down that path with to a certain degree. It does when you get close. It does make a difference between those two. But if you're seeing big, like for instance, I mean, someone's going to get an email that says I don't recommend we move forward if I see a dot pitch over 1.7. Like the first thing if you tell me I have an LED wall, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, hey, what's the pitch? and you're going to immediately get an email that says, I don't think we should put an LED wall behind everyone. Let's raise it up 9 feet so that I can have all my cameras not see it. Because anything bigger than that, and then the next thing I'm going to ask is how deep is the stage? And then we have to think about the sensors on our cameras, all this other stuff, because you need to make sure that your sensors have low pass filters on them. You can't use sensors without low pass on an LED wall, in my opinion. You also need to make sure that the sensors are larger. So you want to immediately move to a minimum of 2/3, but really super 35, because you're going to shorten that depth of field so that you can push that thing out of focus as fast as you can. you're going to, there's a whole bunch of math that we start to do if you say anything over 1.7. We find 1.7 and below, and we do shows with 0.9. And at those rates, you can get away with almost anything. Yeah, go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, as I was talking to the folks at Panasonic during this last show, they said that OLPF makes an optical low pass filter on the UE160 makes a huge difference for those LED walls. And I was like, wow, man, the shop that I work with here in town, they have a bunch of UE150s, and he's like, oh yeah, you could just send them in, and it's like $1,500 to upgrade them to get that. So if you do want to go down that path, rent or upgrade your older cameras and take care of that.
And you'll see that, they usually promote it, like Blackmagic's newer cameras. Some of them have OLPF. There are some, some people think it makes it softer. so that's not, so there's a reason not to have them there as well. But if you're doing stuff with LED walls, it's really table stakes, to have that. And then again, it's, because what happens is that any movement in that background, you're basically destroying the temporal compression. You have two things, temporal and spatial. When you run out of temporal, it just digs into the spatial, and it's going to and it's going to use up all of its resources on that. And oftentimes, what happens is the background actually looks sharp, and the actual foreground person walking around there's no resources left for them, and they look like big blocks moving around. And so it's really LEDs, when not managed well, are kind of a disaster. And so we move them. Anytime you ask me what to do with an LED wall, I want to move it 9 feet up. I want to have something nice and beautiful that is going to let the person set up, well, and show whatever you want to show. But I'm more people oriented than graphics oriented. Next question.
Zach Stahlsmith in Chautauqua, New York. Tractus Multiview for NDI has officially launched. Has anyone tested it?
Go ahead, Guy.
I haven't personally, but I asked this question to Jonas yesterday because I was inspired to buy it. And I said, why should I buy this over KiloView? And his exact words are, because it works. API first, price, reliability, expression engine for the captions, custom layouts, works headlessly on AWS with a C5, for example, and works on ARM. So there's Jonas's feedback for our friend Elias. And he's a friend of the show, so he's been on the show a couple times. So support Elias. I'm going to spend the $99 and I'll get it.
Next question.
From the QR code, David Brady in New York City, New York. Just saw the Yamaha RUIO-16D slide through my feed, and it looks compelling. Serving as a bridge between Dante analog and USB signals. What's the panel's opinion?
Go ahead, Alex.
Love Yamaha products. I think it's too expensive. It's $12.99 US. It's a 16 in, 16 out Dante interface with a couple of mic pre's on it and multi-channel USB. For $800 more, David, you can add the DM3-D console, which is a much better product. A lot more I/O, physical faders, motorized. I would much rather have a DM3D.
Yeah, Mickey said that it's a good box, though I would rather spend USD $400 more for 4 times more Dante and USB I/O plus 64 channels of MADI too. I think he's referring to the RME. Is that that's there? I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, so that there you go. This is the Digiface, which we use on every show. so the RME Digiface Dante is we use it a lot. One of the things that we have a lot of FS4s and FS HDRs, and they only take MADI, and so to get our Dante to get back into wherever it needs to go with those, we use the Digiface for that. I'm pretty happy with it. Next question.
Guy Cochran in Seattle, USA. What do you think of the PYXIS 12K?
Has that been announced yet? I think we're 2 minutes away. Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
The resolution isn't really the problem with the PYXIS, is it? I think we need to talk about rolling shutter and base level functionality before we get into those 12K questions, but we are short minute and 40 seconds away from those answers.
Oh, I see. They took pictures of, I told you take pictures of the NAB, the side of the buildings, and you get to see what they're releasing. So they have a 12K features, and looks interesting. It will be interesting to see. The issue is, I still use a lot of I use a lot of cameras with rolling shutter. It's actually very rare for me to use a global shutter unless we really know that we're moving around. And So I will say that there is a lot of use cases that don't need a global shutter, and a bit. I think that we think of it being a film camera, but the vast majority of people who use these cameras are not shooting films. Go, Jesse.
Yeah, the PYXIS will absolutely get you across the finish line for corporate talking head videography, but as soon as you pan, even the softest pan, you'll start to see that wobble.
All right. I think so. Now, what we're doing here is we've got 15 seconds. We'll see if they start on time. But this is a second ear experience. So you can go ahead to the YouTube channel, Blackmagic's YouTube channel. There's already 2,500 people there watching a still with a little countdown clock. It says it's 15 seconds away. So you can watch it on your own, but you can listen to us if you want to. And so we're going to watch it ourselves. We're going to talk amongst ourselves. And if you want to ask questions, you go ahead and still throw those questions into Makana, or you can use Ask Office Hour. No, don't use Ask Office. Yeah, you can. I'll keep it open. So I just have to pull it up. So you can use either one, and we'll also be looking at the chat. So, they started on time. Turns out it's probably not live. so this is they are Blackmagic, of course, is this is a play out, but it's all play out at the same time, which allows us all to be part of that conversation. So we're going to start watching this, and we'll see what happens. So they're showing a lot of stuff. I don't think these are all things that were. This is where Blackmagic, I think, kind of
every Hollywood movie ever brought to you by Blackmagic.
Yeah, they were generally touched somewhere. Typically, color correction with Resolve. Like Resolve is their big thing. So I mean that's the primary thing. It doesn't mean that they're not being used, but that's been the big thing. And it gets back to what Jesse was just talking about. I think if Blackmagic released a global shutter, under 10 grand. Now there is a the red Komodo. That has just dropped in price that does do that global shutter. But I think if Blackmagic went down that path, they'd be really successful. But it's hard to see whether they're going to do that or not. So right now we're watching their little promo, and again, it's like everything that was released last year.
There is no way these were edited entirely in Resolve. Like these are giant Hollywood movies.
No, these again, I think
A-list music videos.
I think in general, what we're seeing is a demo reel, and this is always the problem with demo reels. Like, what part did you do? And so I think that the vast majority of these are, in Resolve or color corrected in Resolve, but.
Apple should do a video like this that includes all the movies made using Apple Kit hardware. We could do the same thing.
It could have been used for on-set color correction, for looking at dailies. Oh, here
we go. Picture up.
The set always changes just a little.
Like it's the same pieces. They just move it a little.
I don't think that's a real light. I think it's a monitor behind.
Well, that's totally not a window.
Yeah.
A NAS drive. Incredible.
Wow, something to do with all those 3.5-inch hard disks.
It's got an Ethernet cable.
Really, really reminds me of a Drobo. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They would put an HDMI out on a NAS. I kind of love that.
Yeah.
So I don't need a SCSI terminator on this one then.
No SCSI.
Those same tiny little loud fans are in the back. See when he turned it?
I think this is an answer to Avid's Nexus expensive storage.
I love the hard drive. Oh, they made one.
They developed a case? I mean, we've been buying those for a long time.
It's the same VHS looking thing. Like,
The engineers have been burning the midnight oil on this case.
Theirs will be $17 each.
It's made with magic. Black magic.
That's right.
Is it doing RAID, or is it just treating each one of these as separate drives?
It's not plugged in. He's like, it's going to turn on. It's not plugged in.
Yeah.
He did not turn on power.
I think that they're all running separately. I think they're JBODs. Not even a JBOD. Yeah.
No, there was an edit. He didn't plug the power into it.
But I think that I don't think that there's any. I wonder if the Blackmagic cloud kind of keeps track of where everything's at on it.
Oh, you think the cloud is running the RAID? Like,
I think so.
Doesn't.
I don't know. Yeah. So like it figures out what it's going to do with those drives. I kind of don't know if I like that, but I like it being inexpensive.
Wow,
look at that video. Oh, I just want to tickle it. Like,
he needs like one of those little tiny little phones that Will Ferrell uses. Like,
it's a third of an RU. Yeah.
whoa, that's I thought that was 2110 for a second. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. That is the tiniest I've ever seen a router.
The funny thing is, that I'm like, this is useless, except I just did a project that the 10 by was too big. We were like, if we just had a third of a U that just handled 4 IO, that's all we need for this project. We need 100 of them where we need, yeah.
All right, we got to play prices right here. What do you think? $399, $499?
$495.
$545, dependent on import duties.
Yeah. Okay. Australia's getting 10%. I believe we know that.
And then the what?
That's a 12.
Wait, what?
Put on the front.
They're like, wait, there's more. Okay, that is cute.
There's 2 more on the side.
I thought that was a screen. That there is no way that's a screen.
What if you just build like 3U of all of these, and then you kind of cobble together one big?
It would be such a mess. Oh,
12 input hub.
I just want to take a picture of it. I made my own 20 by 20 with a bunch of 4 by 4.
You took a bunch of ATEM minis and just did this.
So the webcam output too, though, that's interesting. So now you can route any of those. That's actually not.
Well, they've added that to basically everything. Like, even the smallest hyperdeck can do that. Then fix your web presenter.
Each of those buttons is going to be a screen one day.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And then we put switcher software in it. There you go. Like a little box.
Yeah, let's do pip while we're at it. Third RU. It's so cute.
Oh, I
knew it.
I win.
Thanks, Hundy.
Oh, you nailed it.
Yeah, it's the price they put those little boxes.
That's right. Same. Yeah, my hyperdecks were $595. I think
400 in the last 3 months.
There's a 6x2 too.
6x2. You see, this maxim is you always run out of outputs, not inputs.
Yeah. I bet you there's like 4 on the front.
No, I bet there's 2 on the front.
Oh, it's got Genlock. Mm.
What do you think? 795. It's either 795 or 995.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. Oh, 3? Do you think there are 3 in the front? Could be. No, 2 and a USB-C.
Ooh.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, an in and an out.
Oh no, it's an in and an out. It's a loop.
Yeah.
Oh, my eyes are crossing already. Oh, so that one overrides this? Okay, good.
$800.
795.
$795. Man, you've bought too many of these.
Yeah, I buy a lot of them. I do buy a lot of them.
I have a whole rack
the
of
Price
these
is Right
behind me,
was
and
all
I haven't
Black and
gotten
Magic.
one right yet.
If the Black Magic was a Price is Right, I'd win.
Eight by 4, 12G. What do you think? 2/3 are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bet we're up to $999.
I think, yeah. I think it's not going to go over 1,000. I think it'll be, I think you're right. I think
995.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alex says he doesn't like you don't like how the background,
It's
lit.
just-
Yeah, it's very soft, big soft
It's
light.
just boring.
Let's flat light. They always do that.
The angle's a bit weird because we're looking down on him a bit much. On Grant.
I'm just trying to figure out where I would use this, other than this one weird project that I had, where I would have
Use
bought
it to
100.
control an entire array of monitors that aren't HDMI.
Yeah.
I think the angle's weird to see the depth on the boxes.
Yeah, it's a little bit too low, or a little too high even.
Yeah.
There we go, 995. We got it.
Yes.
$899. $999.
I suppose I'd have the camera lower, but then with a slanted desk going forward a bit so you could still see the depth of the boxes.
Yeah.
I can't wait. This is what I want to see is what are you going to do with 2110?
What's the name of it again?
Up, down, cross 12G. Oh,
I need to hire some guy for naming stuff.
I mean,
All
they're
right.
very clear. You see it. You know what it is.
the naming convention is
So it's
super
interesting. Have you noticed? I don't know if that faceplate is separate now. Maybe it is.
It's not. It's integrated. Like they did away with
Yeah.
that an update last year, I think.
I don't know. I just bought a bunch of them. I don't know if it is.
You could still buy the faceplates, but
Right.
I was going to say they added a speaker to it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
that-
there's the dead giveaway is the headphone jack.
yeah. So you got to keep it integrated there. I hope that there's a better amplification. Their audio monitor, the headphone,
Well, it can't drive anything.
The headphone is just it's worthless.
What do we think? 10 gigabit Ethernet? That would be nice. They don't need it. Oh, yep, 10 gig.
Yeah.
That's great. Totally not necessary for that unit, but really great that they've got it.
I think it's still going to be $595, maybe $695.
I'm going to go with 649 or 6. No, they never do the 45s.
He's going to be, I'm going to do 696.
I'm going to choose $1.
Yeah. John Wallace said that 12G does need 10 gig for 2110.
Oh, yeah. I stand corrected.
Paul for Kovacs is saying, I got to get something going here. Hold on.
It'll extract sync and give it to you a reference out if you don't have a reference in.
I'm guessing that if they were to try PoE with this, it would be way too hot. I would prefer an Ethernet loop out, though. That'd be very nice. And you too can have your audio drift.
Ooh,
ask me how I know.
5.
Yeah.
545.
Deanna releasing is, let's throw one field away and scale the other one up. That's what it is. Apple started doing that. And everyone was like, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah, line double.
2110 at 60 is, or 2160 at 60 is pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh, Midsummer Night's Dream.
Why can't you put a LUT in the base level up down cross?
Is that what he was saying?
Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, it's basically the same audio monitor, but they're just adding.
A little speaker in the front.
Oh, it's still so tiny, though. Those of you that don't know, basically every HDM or every Blackmagic converter has done that since the beginning of time, but it is a very handy thing.
So basically, they don't do HDMI renegotiation.
By the way, that means that this is a 2110 to webcam. You just route.
It makes me wonder what the delay is. I bet it's going to be more sizable than something that does only that.
Log outs with beams.
What is the remote?
Yeah, I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Is that a TRS remote?
Maybe that's stereo remote?
Yeah, but it looks like a standard quarter-inch TRS.
That's interesting.
Put a stomp pedal in there.
I wish they released a de-embedder that was 6 channels instead of 4 channels, so I could do 5.1 instead of 3.1.
Oh,
not that I'm bitter.
Spent so much money trying to do that.
There's not a lot of good ways to do that. like that's inexpensive. There's lots of ways of doing it.
I had to buy 2 pair to try to get it. It never quite worked.
Well, this is just SDI to HDMI, or 2110. No, it's just, IP.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can go 2110 in or SDI in and switch
Wait, hold on.
to the output.
That is
Wait.
that's a remote control. Oh, $495. There we go.
Wait, they didn't make the remote?
Well, yeah, it doesn't sound like it. Who does make the body and volume?
I mean,
controller?
I bet it's got to just be a standard for the resistance. You saw the...
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh. Are you going to show it? Oh my
You
gosh.
better show it. There is now an Alex-sized hole in the wall.
Oh my gosh.
Oh!
Oh my gosh. So that's up to 514. Okay, so just so everyone knows, this is like
This is awesome.
to get 514. Oh my god. Like literally, this just solved a whole bunch of locations for me.
And the channels are pre-configured correctly.
We have to do, for a handful of audio processing, we have to do
Oh,
Is this a first of its kind?
there is
product?
nothing
It's not
like
first of
this
a-
that is a...
there's
Well, no,
not
there's
with
nothing that's a
XLR like
single
that. That's
unit.
easy. Yeah, you can get for 514. A couple different companies make AVRs that do it, but you don't really want an AVR. You want raw at
Whoa.
June.
Gotta wait.
Oh
That
my
looks
gosh.
cheap.
Okay,
That's really cheap.
that's incredible. Sorry, but that's incredible.
I can't believe it's under $1,000. Like,
Mickey's
that's
Mickey's like,
insane.
output 4 is leveled sub. Nope. Hey, Mickey, just be happy that output 4 is leveled sub, not output 3, which is like what the HDMI output from half of the Blackmagic stuff is.
That's why I said, like, the audio channels are correct. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
But $795, there is nothing at $795 that will de-embed. And this
Alex
is
will be putting that on the
2110
bottom of his
SDI.
iPhone like this.
Oh my gosh. 100G? Did he just say 100G?
You can do that. I mean,
Link 100G. That's what.
no, it's usually SFP plus or fiber, but 100G is totally a thing. Oh, this is totally for the next Mac Pro.
Does Mac Pro have those kind of
Yeah, I can see it from the
Whoa.
side. Those are SFP plus ports.
Got the same black.
The first card that actually can
think?
make use of the
We
I/O.
think it can do more, but we haven't tested it yet.
theoretically could do more.
Theoretically, for the hardware that totally doesn't exist yet.
Zoom outputs.
They say 32
I would say,
through
what do you think? 995, 895.
1295.
Uh-huh. I do like their industrial design.
Even the interiors are consistent. It's nice. Whoop! There we go.
There you go.
Real money.
Expensive.
You can't do you can't do that kind of I/O without real money.
Yeah.
WWDC.
Can be all 2110.
Worse, we needed a bigger switcher.
When I first saw that big, the bigger switcher to cut, and where it says Cook Chef, I was like, it's that big?
24 out.
Ooh, not even. But wait, there's
If they refresh the ATEM Mini line with balanced audio, are we all going to overmodulate our mics?
100 in and 100 out.
No, this is the small one.
Out. This is 120 in and 120 out. Oh my gosh.
That's 40 in, 40 out. Yeah.
40 and 40 out.
It's going to be 120 in, 120 out. Because that's the 120 router. They just put a switcher on top of the router.
They put a switcher on the router, yeah.
Yeah, they put the switcher on the router. Oh, okay.
And they lost one. Oh, boy. Look at that. And you too can feel like what it's like to break off an SDI cable.
Is this the Onion?
80 in.
80 standards converters.
Wait, how many did you say? 40?
48.
48.
48 out.
Oh my gosh.
They need to do this to support 12K. I think that's why they're doing that.
Or to do 8K, you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
So if
8K.
if they release cameras with 4 SDI outs, then this would obviously drop to 10 inputs and
right. They would be 10 too.
Or no, 20 inputs and 6 outs. So it would be kind of a 20 by 6 8K router or 8K switcher.
Or multi-viewers built in. Wow.
Yeah.
What do
we think? Is it going to be 995?
I'm going to go with
9,995.
1595.
I think I'm going to try to stay under 10K.
You think? I think what they're going to do is try to show you how much cheaper IP is.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to go. Here's another one with Ethernet.
1,999.
I hope they make a poster on the side of the Las Vegas Convention Center, just the back of this thing, and that's it.
I'm kind of surprised that they don't just do Ravenna. It would just give them so much more flexibility than Maddie, and then they would just be able to they could actually make Ravenna like usable.
It's like, take all my money and just do
people.
Dante, please. I know why they won't, but still.
No, they won't. They won't touch that.
128 audio channels on Maddie. Is that what you said?
128 through, I think, and 4 dedicated multiviews. Look at that remote. It looks like a pot.
And it's a webcam. It's a web converter.
That would be great. And then they'd be like, and then you've got a USB-C.
It's got a USB-C, so you got like, and.
Like, in order to do this correctly, it actually has to be Thunderbolt.
Wait, let me switch to camera 78.
Yep. And by the way, people wondering like, why would you need that? It's when we have people who want to watch over Zoom. That's when we need it. Is like, can you just put that? Can you put the multi-view on Zoom, or can you put the program on Zoom? And that's what that's useful for.
I mean, I think I would put that on its own, just cut bus.
That design looks so weird on the front.
Looks like it's bursting through the front panel, like it's a shorter.
Looks like the front of a Dodge Ram truck.
It's like a 4RU bursting through.
It's just like a weird
They keep
industrial
us thinking of
look.
2 super sources. I'm like, well, you have to buy mix effect from Atom if you're going to do only 2 super sources, because you're just like, you cannot use their software to do that.
Look at that switcher panel.
Jeez.
Oh, baby. I just can't wait until he takes that switcher panel and plugs it into an A10 Mini. By the way, you can't. That's too many inputs, but still. There are 4 pages of sources.
So many.
$80 and 24.
80 and 48 outs. That's so many.
And then clean feeds for everything, and then
yeah.
It doesn't expose all those inputs on the control panel, huh? On the software control panel. 13,000.
$13,000 for that.
So you route the output of one ME to the next ME.
Yeah.
So you've got an ME that's basically slave to a button. Is that what? I've never heard of shadow ME.
Here. Right. Like your ads for multi-country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a double reinterest.
Grass Valley's been doing this forever. so it's,
Grass Valleys cost more.
yeah.
Will it be added as a software update?
I guess.
Yeah.
Does it do it to the 8K? Does it? Maybe it doesn't.
No,
do it
2
to
and
the
4
8K?
ME. That's all all he said.
No.
Mix effects buses. Oh, that's cool. Is that how they work with Grass Valley?
More hardware, less software.
Yeah, but you have
But it does, yeah.
as an input, you have the output of the mix effect bus 1, etc. into 2.
Mickey said, "Welcome to 2005." Yeah, but it's,
Welcome to 1988.
Any output can also be a shadow bus.
cuts only output shadow. That's a big
clean
deal.
feed. Like, why would you do that? A different lower third, like,
or maybe it's only. I'm a little confused. Oh.
Okay. So what if you wanted to switch home and away at the same time?
What?
You can use one switch button to control 2 outputs, or 2 inputs.
Oh, because you're mapping them to. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow.
And this is again what Grass Valley does, but not at this price. so like that's the.
Do they even make a switcher that's $12,000? I feel like they start higher. Ooh, that's cool.
Any ATEM output. Source replacement. Must be a different FPGA.
Vastly different. You can't really stack them and do that.
Hyperdeck Shuttle 4K Pro.
A 4K Pro.
Hyperdeck Shuttle 4K Pro.
Figure out where to put everything.
Oh my God.
It's like Christmas. It's like this is NAB Friday is like Black Magic. Ooh.
And it has a controller.
Oh, it's got a screen. Okay, that just all right. What do you think, Alex? $599? No, the screen's got to bump it.
Will they let you draw on it? That would be the
no way.
No, I don't think so.
No way. If that gets telestration,
what do you think? $595?
$595 or $695?
It's UHD screen.
I think it'll be more money than that.
So it adds H265 and has teleprompter. So you use
that's cool.
Teleprompter station for your
I have no idea what to do with that, but I want it anyway.
Poll is out.
Okay.
So far, it's split pretty evenly between $595 and $795.
Oh, are you running a
$1
poll?
million.
Ooh, okay. They're going to tie that into replay.
That's what the ATEM
How much would you pay now?
That's
How
what
much
the
would you
ISO
pay now?
minis need.
$695.
No, see, I didn't give that choice. I gave $595 or $795. Maybe I might have blown it. I did $495, $595, $795. We've got most people think it's either $595 or $795.
What's the RS422? Oh, the standard remote. Okay.
I think this has got to be $1,000 at least.
That's amazing. Look at that I/O. Like you have a separate SDI monitor out.
Yeah, both HDMI and SDI.
Now, did I miss in this? Oh, it's a shadow. They are now. If they're a year away from trying to go after EVS or the 3-play, not really EVS, but 3-play.
They're
definitely
lining up the pieces, though.
Yeah, all these pieces are coming together.
I don't think it records and plays back at the same time.
No, it doesn't. But I'm saying they're not very far away now. You can see that they can smell blood and they're going for it. You know, like this is how they do this.
The reference loop is also. I don't think I've ever seen it on a small hyperdeck.
No, this is definitely just not to be on your desk. It's a little bit more.
Well, yeah. The question, I feel like they were like, let's give you one thing on your desk, and that should be all you need. This is basically a broadcast box without the mic in.
Does the 10G Ethernet mean?
You can record the network storage over the.
Yeah, they wanted to be able to back up to the NAS. That's why they have 10G. Look at the size of that fan grate. Oh, it's going to be loud.
Thank you, Brent, for FireWire.
I have learned to really enjoy this kind of like.
He's
cozy,
so good at these.
Well, but the cozy, like it's not quite a stage thing.
Yeah, it's conversational, but it's also very well rehearsed.
bringing up a big monitor so we can see easier.
If only they had built LCD. It looks they just took one of their camera assists and put it right in.
I was about to say, I feel like I'm looking at the back of one of my broadcast cameras.
Yeah, I remember this one's also a server though with 10 gigs, so
Yeah.
with an NVMe. So it's just like my big hyperdeck that I have behind me, my 4K.
Yeah, it's just a nice little buffer.
Yeah.
Kind of like a built-in 7-inch video assist.
Wait. So
Wait, it's touchscreen.
it is a touchscreen.
I mean, so are the ones on the back of the camera, so I guess
But
that makes
I mean,
sense.
they are like inches away from telestration too.
They could telestrate. All they need is a keyer. Or
if only they had a keyer. Oh wait. Watch him draw on it.
I will lose it.
I don't. Oh man, it's a really nice box.
Oh, that's really nice. Like the cameras don't. Wow.
Now Henry says, "I'm not crazy about the shuttle monitor unless the project is aimed at only those who need 1 or 2 channels of replay. I prefer rack mount and dual monitors."
That's
I think
cool.
this really is designed for someone who just needs.
It's nice to have a pip that you can just have right over the scopes.
But is it doing it from a live? It's doing it from a
Ooh,
live.
that's very
recorder.
smooth. Control.
Oh,
I
I have that shuttle. I have the older shuttle on my desk.
It's not fast.
It's
like it does not do that. It is not smooth.
Oh, I found it to be really smooth.
Well, no, the clutch is smooth. The feeling is smooth, but it always takes a little while when you. I mean, they fixed that, I'm sure, with the better SSD instead of an SD card. He's teasing that touch screen.
Yeah, that NVMe makes it super fast. I had that on my HyperDeck
Yeah.
8K. It makes it super fast. Have that built in.
So, is it recording live?
It's not recording right now. I mean, you can tell because the
But I mean,
recording light isn't.
He's just playing back a pre-recorded file.
Well, it just switched really fast.
My question is it doing a constant growing file record like an AVS? Like I can't quite suss out what it's doing there. Like I just don't know if if you're able to clip live video.
Yeah, there's a previous clip button.
The clip has an alpha channel?
Oh, we're layering over live video, you say?
What?
Okay, so you can control your playback, and that playback gets keyed.
Playout system.
Yeah. Okay, but where's the key? Did I miss the alpha out, or is it just?
Is
it doing it with?
It's doing alpha channel, so this externalizes the need for the. It's so.
How is the switcher getting the alpha channel?
He's got 2 outputs. He's got a SDI AV. It's doing
okay. He does have an aux out. Okay. Or an alpha out. Okay. Yeah, see, he wasn't recording until that minute.
But you can record over the Ethernet, 10 gig Ethernet, to a.
for those of us who like doing live replay and then just need to check our video levels on scopes.
So it's the stopping part that he's still there, but they're so close. But you know that they know replay is important because they cobbled it into Resolve. I mean, there's something going on here. They're paying attention.
2 years ago, it was weird and nobody knew what it was for. And I feel like we're starting to see the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do a network store and then access it instantly from anywhere.
All right, here we go. Let's see price.
I don't quite get it as a media player for live production if we can't.
I know, it's like
growing file. Like it's got to just set in and out points like an EVS. Okay, a lot more expensive than we thought.
Okay, real money. That's good. You actually get the SSD better for $1,500.
So with 2 terabytes.
Oh, never mind. They fooled me.
That's the price of a MacBook Pro.
Right. I mean, as a playout system, it's really great.
It's incredible, but I would never do that.
Being able to load a bunch of clips and play key fill out, and having a piece of hardware to kind of work through that without a computer.
Well, if it records the network storage, you could have one doing recording.
By the way, this is one of my next purchases, micro panels, because I just want a little panel. I don't want the whole thing.
Now?
But they already have one. This is a nicer one, I think. Oh, okay.
New CCU.
I just love that part of it. He's just kind of like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to go now. And you know, he's probably rehearsed it like a million times.
Yeah, look at the CCU they got now.
But it sits on your desk.
I really love his attention to detail. Like, this is one of these things where it's like, Grant Petty spent 20 years in a TV studio just getting this
battery. Look at that, no wires. Look, Mom, no wires.
And if you're listening, by the way, the delay is a lot less. If you listen through OH radio, it'll be a couple seconds behind instead of 20 seconds behind. Something to think about. Something we should think about for this process.
My favorite little piece about its camera controls is that matrix of LEDs that are just perfectly old school. Looks like a scrolling marquee.
That's what I am in love with this device. That's such nice design.
Yeah, 1980s Sony feel to it.
Yeah. Dot matrix, like they could have done that any number of ways, but it's just perfect.
Yeah, your shaders can be sitting on the couch with this in their lap.
But does it control the newer cameras? I'm not sure it does.
I'm sure it does.
Oh, that's interesting.
The big reveal, it doesn't control anything. It just looks cool on your desk.
Put 3 or 4 of those on your desk and you're set.
You can switch between any camera.
So what do we think, $9.95?
You can switch between 4 different cameras on this.
You think these are $9.95 each?
It's hard to do it for a lot less.
8 camera.
Yeah, it's true. So 8 per each. So if you wanted to control the switcher we just saw, I think
that the idea though is that you're not doing that. That switcher, yeah.
This also works inside the.
Apple Vision show what's in it shows what's in preview. Okay.
Yeah, it shows tallies for what the switcher's on.
Because preview is what you need. You hit preview and you want to look at it.
Well, yeah, that's what you need if if you're the person that's actually running, that's great.
Well, it just tells the camera, the shader, which one's on the air and which one's in preview.
Now, every ATEM
I would
device
never
that I have
do this
has-
with Bluetooth. Never.
But that means that if it's Bluetooth, does that mean it connects to the Bluetooth controller for the cameras?
Okay.
Must. Well, it goes over.
If you're running a production
needed that last
big
weekend.
enough for this,
No. I don't know. I could have used it.
I think it goes over Wi-Fi.
Oh, it connects to a computer. John Wallace says connects to a computer or Bluetooth.
And then the controls go over the Ethernet.
If it was able to connect to the Blackmagic camera to their Bluetooth connection to their phones, I mean that you use your phone for, it'd be really useful. You had a camera somewhere remote.
it'd be the first
Just be able to
time
go
that I
in there
ever
and turn it
actually
on.
used that Bluetooth feature.
I use it all the time because we have a camera that's off in the middle of nowhere, and then, like if I have to install it, like on this is like my personal stuff, I use the little controller. This essentially is a MIDI controller for their app.
$600.
$595.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of people use this.
That's really the trick.
Yeah, but
is
the
like,
problem is that the new one, the 12Ks, don't.
trying to correct those cameras in software is not very enjoyable, but doing it with hardware is incredible.
Yeah. Did they just show a monitor with with drives?
Those are the videos.
No, those are the high-end hyperdecks that we've seen before.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that those existed. Oh, is it just the 8K one?
Yeah, it's just the 8K hyperdeck.
And we got rid of all those buttons.
Ooh, Generation 2 HDMI. Extreme. Ooh, HDMI Mini.
Here we go.
Take my money.
Look at that.
Yes.
Oh, it's got
so
good
many less
buttons.
buttons.
Oh,
And better ones.
and better. Like it's the same buttons that I have on my SDI switcher. Oh, yes. Most everybody wanted better buttons. Anyone who ever touched your buttons.
I actually just wanted to be. The problem is they won't be quiet anymore, so I can't put it on my desk. Like I couldn't put this on my desk because they'll make noises.
Think they'll make noises?
Audio control knobs now.
Yeah.
Six macros.
Mm-hmm. They definitely learned that we don't want all those buttons.
Oh, that's clever. Basically a shift key.
It's like the Television Studio HD front panel.
Yeah, I think I'll just do it with the iPad.
4 upstream and 2 downstream key.
4 up, 2 down. Woo!
This has got to have balanced audio. Look how thick it is.
You know what? I spent a lot of money to get balanced audio on the TV Studio 4K Pro, and it was never enjoyable.
I don't understand why they don't just put those drives, insert those drives into the bottom, and give us a ton of storage. Let us pay extra to put the storage into the switcher.
Give us a
They're doing that
playback
somewhere else. Like I don't understand why we don't get it there.
At least a gig of storage or
Oh,
something.
and they put a guard. Yeah, someone Henry pointed out they put guards around the fade to black.
The FTB. You can also disable it now in software.
Yeah.
Yes, show me.
That's a balanced input.
Balanced audio ins.
That-
And a
Balanced audio input
quarter-inch
and
headphone
Matty.
jack.
And Matty.
XLR in. Now
Yeah.
you too can watch your audio drift from XLR.
32 in over Matty.
They still
Okay.
don't bridge.
Do you see the
from
loop
HDMI to
Ethernet?
SDI.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're not kidding,
I'll have
Alex.
to-
That's going to be loud on a desk.
I'll have to get a Dante to Matty converter now.
I have to say, if this is like $14.95, it's going to be really hard for other switchers in that little ballpark to.
USB connections. Plus power.
And obviously, there's going to be an SDI version.
You
of this,
got a
so the
third out.
concern.
Look at that. You got a third
It's nice
out.
to have a third out.
That's going to run my teleprompter.
3 USBs.
One's power.
Well, no, it's a
Oh.
it's a dedicated webcam out. If you looked, see how they're two different things. One's out A, out B.
You think you can
Third one's 12 volt
USB
Thunderbolt.
Yeah,
Thunderbolt.
Plus the two USBs.
CF Express.
They've got a
too.
1 gig and a 10 gig Ethernet.
Wait.
That's where the oh.
And a CF Express card.
Guess you can
Take my money. Oh, do we
that for
think
the
$2,000?
Oh, that's for the
I
iPhone.
think this
Wait,
could
so it does
easily
key
be
fill. It does a key fill to that Thunderbolt.
It's using. You can plug it
You can
into
use
a
it as a
computer,
monitor.
and the computer is doing the key fill. You can use the
I don't-
key
I
fill
don't
for
fully understand
media
how that would work, but
because it's Thunderbolt, not USB C. They've got the I/O. There it is.
yeah. Mhm. I wonder if the Ethernet opens up 2110.
10G, of course it does.
Is this show finishing in 3 minutes?
We're going to wait a little longer. I said I was going to have a hard out, but I know some
can't.
people have to leave, but I'm going to
I
stay
see.
for a little bit longer.
My out is softening.
Yeah.
He's talking about the CF card.
So we have people are okay. Okay. I was waiting for him to say, and then we have 20. I wonder if they'll make a version of this as 2110.
I think what they want you to do is that's kind of the gateway drug. That's why they put it in the A10 Mini. Yes, I love 1G for control. Thank you. To save time and the fact that plugging these in takes a long time.
Joaquin said Neutral connectors, at least, hopefully better preamps. I don't really care about the mic preamps. I just want to be able to do balanced line.
Give me
input.
line in that doesn't drift, okay? I'll be happy.
Line over them, yeah. I wonder if it does 48 volt phantom.
It does. He said it does.
And then you have the key fill from that new replay system that can. How would that go in?
Yeah. See, again, like the
but that
10G
would
is.
be. But that's.
Oh,
I guess if there's an on-off switch, you know, a lot of machines don't have on and off. Like that's chances of you doing it by accident are higher.
Yeah, you
on
don't
eBay,
want to
you
fuck
can
around
just
with
get a
that.
toggle switch. Like it's not the end of the world. Wait, did he just plug the controller into the?
Oops.
Oh, thank you. Those are my most used buttons, are the video out
Yeah.
buttons on the far right of the switcher.
Yep.
I bet it switches the main. Take the 3 buttons and repurpose the bottom row.
So it's like a little mini router built in by holding
Right.
down that one button.
That's great. I actually prefer that because it means that you get all the functionality and you don't have all the buttons. It's good. Hope it works better than triggering autofocus.
It's kind of like a separate aux bus that's controlled
Yeah.
by holding that button down.
Well, yeah, because they don't want to have all the video outs times 3. Oh, it's beautiful.
John Snyder said, as someone closer to prosumer than professional, this new A10 Mini Extreme solves several problems I have. Yeah, I mean, it's, again, I haven't used it. I don't really use Extremes in professional positions. I have other constellations and so on and so forth. But, man, as a little desktop switcher,
There is nothing, there is no company that can touch this. It's
it
size of a
depends on what
keyboard.
you're looking at. I mean, I think that there's still some stuff that the Roland does that's really cool, and everything else it's not.
My favorite feature of the Roland is how weird it gets when you plug it into Zoom. Of course, then again, my A10 failed today, so.
Jack
I imagine
Cannon
they're
said
gonna
it's
make an
interesting they
SDI
chose
version
ice
of this,
hockey
too.
versus some more Australian
Yeah,
thing.
it's like political statement much. They're like, by the way, it'll be available in Canada in next month,
yeah,
and
I'm guessing
in the United
that-
States, never.
I'm guessing that that's because someone gave them the footage for it. like this is what they had to.
Yeah, someone gave them the
Someone got
rights.
access. Getting access to it was probably the challenge.
Yeah, I've needed something to do with these 2 screens on the 4K, and I think that's what those 2 are going to be for.
I'm curious if you can record ISOs to that CF Express slot.
I bet you. Yep.
I think he said that.
Of course you can.
You just said that. Yeah.
That's why yeah. Or you could plug in another USB-C hard drive and probably record ISOs and the switch. Look at all those audio channels. Oh. Oh, it's so
You
pretty.
can bring up the Fairlight Audio without using the software.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so beautiful. Why doesn't my X32 look like there are maybe 3 screens that I have to go through to get that much information? Do you see the loudness meter? Like a dedicated loudness
I
meter?
missed that. They took the loudness meter from Resolve.
Yeah. See, they're blue and blue and yellow.
Oh. Short-term loudness, short-term. Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that
is
You
great?
said it.
That's the same as the full size panels. It's how you do them.
A little
Yeah,
confusing.
it
but
becomes a little
okay.
Perkins EQ.
Whoa.
Okay, that's wow. Do you see the camera control on the bottom right? So you can have audio and video camera control.
Miggy said, I don't think people who are excited about this have mixed on an ATEM. And I have to admit that I bypass the ATEM generally. I mean, it is better inputs makes it more doable. But it's been
I've mixed on the ATEM.
I will say though, as someone who for people who don't have an external mixer, this is a lot of power.
I wonder if they're going to add delay to the digital and HDMI inputs for each audio.
Yeah, give me different delay on every input and I'll be happy.
I'm glad they really are addressing the audio, though, because if you're going to have a product like this, they're really, if you're going to have audio, a way of getting audio in, it should be good. It should be
it's closer.
reliable.
The TV Studio 4K Pro basically had this, but the interface is different, and it is definitely more pretty.
Mickey brings up a good point about the limiters, because the limiters currently work on RMS, not peak, which is really frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of doesn't make any sense.
Makes zero sense, yeah. But that short-term loudness, like, see, again, it's not just meters. You've got a range for loudness. See the numbers right before your main outs?
Comes the Thunderbolt.
This is the thing that I was kind of confused by. Oh, I wonder if it's out of Resolve.
Of course it is. That's why they did that weird replay stuff that nobody understood what it was for last year.
Over the Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that's why they're using Thunderbolt. So again, you've got dedicated DisplayPort channels, right? And like they're just perfect for a switcher. Thunderbolt, Phil, yes! Nobody cares about your stingers.
Well, it's the easiest way to show the output channel.
It's also really fast if it doesn't work.
We're using DaVinci Resolve as a replayer.
Yes. Yeah, like it's a hyperdeck. That makes sense.
Question is it still going to record H.264? Will
H.264 and
I'd like ProRes files.
265. Well, I think there are.
With Thunderbolt, it's possible. Especially if it's Thunderbolt 5.
Also, I hope they have fixed it. So right now, if you
Wait, was that live program that he just replayed?
the current ISO model won't record SuperSource to the in the DaVinci Resolve project file.
Okay, we'll use one of your third outputs and
yes, I know
ISO it.
Problem is
Did
I
you see the recording light in each of those channels?
I think I don't understand the replay thing. I don't understand how I do it this quickly.
You'd need a separate playback engineer to do this.
Well, yeah, that's yeah.
It lines up multi-source
Multi-source.
using timecode in sync.
Oh, it's beautiful. You're right, though. Like, how do you set up a playlist to basically 1, 2, 3, 4 back?
So it says it's recording and playing 8 video streams. And he says you can see them coming in. So
There's no way you can't do that with only the most recent Thunderbolts. Nobody bought it the first time. They did make it better, though. It does not look the same. So you scrub to where you want, you hit add, and then when you trigger it, that's what it does.
I still feel like feels very clunky. I mean, it just feels like a very clunky way to. I mean, I just feel like they're shoehorning this into Resolve, and I don't.
I mean, I just love the idea that I can add another monitor to my Mac Studio and just get all my output. I also love being able to play back from the same machine that I'm using that's right in front of me.
And also, you can see that the new feature in DaVinci 20 is it marks the cameras we've used.
Why are we getting audio? Okay.
sorry, that was me. I had Hero garbage stripped.
Yeah. All there really is to it. I just feel like it's just playing the Stinger out of having a player to play out the Stinger with an alpha channel. That's cool.
It's way cool.
I hope they open that up to third parties, because I really want to use something like Softron or something else that just does that. That can just. I'm sure.
I don't see why you can't just dump one of your inputs from the switcher.
Well, so the key here is that it can send key fill out, but you'd have to know how you're going to send key fill out through the Thunderbolt. It's going to be proprietary theoretically.
No, I think you can choose that because it is one of the inputs and one of the outputs.
I know, but you have to, like, how does the software know to send a key fill through the Thunderbolt? Like, I don't know of a software that does that does key fill from the Thunderbolt. That's going to talk to a piece of hardware. Like, I don't.
Well, the output of Resolve is coming back over the Thunderbolt into the switcher, so it just
understand, but
composite, right?
All I care about from that Thunderbolt input is key fill, because that HDMI switcher can't do key fill with the HDMI. So if you want to do graphics play out to this thing, you need to have a key fill output, like for,
You're right, though. Like, I would want to use MIDI instead of Resolve.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I just want the videos to come in sync over Thunderbolt.
Well, maybe with a multi-view codec of some sort, like AVC1 and VP9. So we get.
Oh, he just said it uses the Decklink API, so it should be able to do it.
Yeah, so it's open source.
Okay,
it should just work.
Available June.
Well, there goes my money.
It puts a lot of pressure on the sub $2,000 switchers. It's a lot of features. It's a pretty heavy feature set. You have to really have a vertical reason that you're doing it. I mean, again, it's not. High-end studio, I think, is a stretch, but I think that it, for what it's used for.
Web presenter, new web presenter.
I've bought all of them. They've never worked. Thank you. Only the 720. 720 was perfect. What do you think? They're just going to add 2110?
You guys that had the hard 9 o'clock out, you're past your time.
I know. I can't stop. Got to see what's going on.
I'm completely hooked. I'll check out when they start talking about Resolve.
Oh, right. We haven't even gotten to the 360. Oh, we're going to be here forever. I can't stay that long. I may have to just listen while I'm working.
That is my favorite part of
This is my last product.
Another streaming bridge.
I mean, are we going to be taking questions? Alexander, I'll spell you. If you need to go, then go ahead.
Yeah.
I got to go.
Okay. And we don't have that many questions. We just have, like, what are we going to do? And can we put the YouTube into the events? And we can't.
The most fun I ever had with that streaming bridge was just going back and forth with Guy right when it came out.
This is a new decode only, I guess.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, this is actually, we have been asking cloud companies for this forever, of like, it depends on what it can receive, of just having a simple box that I can just push out SDI video.
Yep, there's your 2110 input with Ethernet.
I think that's 2110, is it? It's just Ethernet for the stream.
Oh, there's the dream. That shot with the
Yeah, I mean,
The iPhone
anybody
plugged in.
who stream from cell phones will tell you, like, okay, well, that's a pretty. It's a not a good dream. It's more like a nightmare.
I know it's fiction, but it's my favorite fiction.
Yeah.
Finally, a use for my broadcast cameras with the 10G Ethernet. A 7.5 and not a 9.5.
I'm gonna let you guys keep going. I'm gonna drop out. Thanks, everybody. I gotta get ready to fly to Vegas. Thanks, everybody.
Streaming in a Blackmagic Pro.
Jason, you were muted.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to figure out the host and the stuff. Yeah, now we have consensus. Some of us are going to continue to be watching this, and of course, you are more than welcome to go into after hours. We're gonna wrap this because it's not really fair to keep the back end on. This is clearly going to be a 2-hour event because he is not even slowing down, and we haven't even touched resolve.
We haven't gotten to
or the PYXIS
either.
The PYXIS again, like we haven't seen a camera. Like just I believe the record for NAB was 2 hours 30 minutes. Oh, we see a camera though.
First camera. Well, he's just using it as a source. As a stream source.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in. We're going to be wrapping the stream now, but yes, by all means, please continue at office hours. And if you like what you see, get more at officehours.global. We did travel though.
All this stuff tomorrow.
The Tlaloc traversal is 28,000 miles, 45,000 kilometers, and that, of course, is 223 million bananas for scale.
See you all in after hours. We can watch it there.
Thanks, everyone. See you later. Give my kidneys a break.
Thanks, everybody.
Ciao, everyone. Ciao tutti.
Catch you in after hours. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, panel and back end.